Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's FCAN webinar, Students Can't Be What They Can't See, Making the Most of Career Fairs. So this webinar was billed as Kathy McDonald as the host, but I am not Kathy. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us today, so I am filling in. I am Kimberly Lent, FCAN's Assistant Director for Research and Analytics. There is my email address in case you want to reach me, and if you want to tweet at me, it is at krlent. So before we get too much into the weeds of today's webinar, we want to ask you a quick question to learn more about the audience. So I'm going to open up the poll now and ask you all, what student grade level do you serve? So K through 5, middle school 6 through 8, 9 through 12, and then college level or returning adults. Give you all a few seconds there. All right. So the majority of the folks on the call today do serve students who are in the high school age range, 9th to 12th grade, and then the second most college level. So that's really good information to know, especially as Anna, our presenter, and I are getting some questions at the end and how we can best serve you all on today's call. So with that, I am so happy to introduce everyone to our guest presenter today, Anna Ryan, the Director of Programs for Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay. As a Junior Achievement alumnus, she is passionate about the JA mission and the importance of career readiness and financial literacy for the future success of our youth. Anna is responsible for many JA initiatives in Hillsborough County, including High School Heroes and Parent Partnership programs. She was a 2018 MVP for Junior Achievement of Tampa Bay for her creativity and enthusiasm to take on new projects and initiatives for the organization. She is currently involved in a career exploration fair pilot with JA USA, seeking to increase and improve career exploration activities for students in the K-12 system. Educating students to prepare for and be intentional at career exploration events will provide them with a valuable skill for future success in career selection and job search. While Junior Achievement is focused on the K-12 grade levels, their new career discovery pilot has relevance for all grade levels, including the ones that you folks on the call today serve. So I encourage all of you to look for ways that you can adapt their strategies to your student population. So next, a few housekeeping items. First, we welcome all questions. This is all about learning together, so please submit your questions in the chat box, which you can see on the right of your screen if you're viewing it from your desktop computer. We will allot time at the end of today's webinar where I will direct questions to Anna, but you can submit them anytime throughout the webinar. Second, we love social media engagement. So if you're on Twitter, you can find FCAN at FL College Access or Junior Achievement Tampa Bay at JA Tampa Bay. And we encourage you to use the hashtags, hashtag FCAN, hashtag career discoveries. And lastly, as always, this will be recorded and all materials will be available within a week of the recording. So a little background about FCAN before we get started. If you're new, welcome. If you're a returning FCAN webinar listener, great to see you again. So Florida College Access Network is at the heart of a movement to ensure today's students are prepared for tomorrow's jobs. And our mission is to create and strengthen a statewide network that catalyzes and supports communities to improve college and career readiness, access, and completion for all students. And our vision, our big goal, is for at least 60% of working age Floridians to have a high quality post-secondary degree or credential by the year 2025. And we accomplish our work in three main ways. The first is local college access networks. Local college access networks, or LCAN for short, are cross-sector strategic alliances that collaborate to support and we provide more support for students, support student success in local communities. The second arm of our work is research, data, and policy. FCAN acts as a clearinghouse on data in the college and career readiness space, as well as also publishing policy recommendations and best practices to support our students. And last is our statewide initiatives, known under the umbrella College Ready Florida. So these provide schools and community organizations resources to help students plan their future, including Application Week, the Florida FAFSA Challenge, Collins Decision Day, and our newest, which is in pilot stage right now, Planet Florida. So opening it up to another poll question. Have you, let me get it open. Have you organized a career fair or similar event in the past? Seeing a lot of yeses so far. 2 more seconds. Okay. So that's a pretty good breakdown. So 75% of you have, and 25% haven't. So we're all gonna, I'm sure, have some great stuff to share and learn on today's call. Okay. So introducing us to today's topic. So many communities now recognize the value of helping students envision their future career in order to ensure that their post-secondary education plans will get them to where they want to go. This can help reduce the number of students who change their majors in college, which can then reduce the amount of time and money it takes for students to finish their degree or credential. It can also help students stay more focused in school by creating relevance between their future career trajectory and the education they need along the way. And now my favorite part, some of the data and research. So when we think of all of this, the impact of helping students get on a career path right away, the one that is relevant to their coursework in post-secondary education, the impact can be pretty substantial. So according to the National Center of Education Statistics, 33% of bachelor degree seekers have changed their major within the first 3 years. That's pretty significant. And then 28% of associate degree seekers change their major at least once. And overall, that's 1/3, of college students change their major. So this can lead to students taking additional college courses in order to meet the requirements of their new major, which can impact their ability to finish on time because now they have new course requirements that weren't in the old program. And it can also have a pretty significant impact on their financial well-being in terms of taking on more student loans and how are they paying for those additional courses. And the next is from a study from Gallup and Strata Education Network that came out last year. So they polled working age Americans and asked them to reflect on their experience in post-secondary education. So 51% of Americans would change at least one of their education decisions if they had to do it over again. And I'm sure many of us on this call can think of at least one thing that we would have changed. So then they asked a little deeper, what specifically would you redo? So 36% said they would have chosen a different major. 28% said they would have chosen a different institution, and 12% said that they would have chosen a different degree altogether. And when we think about helping students explore future career options and earlier grades, that there comes a time making informed decisions about their post-secondary education and how that can better align with the career goals that leverage their strengths. So today's webinar is going to help us accomplish that. And before we kick it off to Anna, we have one more poll question. So what is the biggest challenge in exposing more students to career options? We're launching that now. So finding employers willing to share about career options, finding time in the school day/year, and planning all the event logistics. Give you a few more seconds. Okay. So this one is also coming in pretty split. So 25% said finding employers willing to share about the career options, 50% finding time. We know time is a sacred resource in our school days. So finding time in the school day a year. And then a quarter said planning all the event logistics, which we know is also a challenge often. So the good news is more communities are making career discoveries activities available to their students. So they're able to overcome some of these challenges. But students are not always equipped to make the most of these opportunities. So Sorry. We're really excited to have Anna on our webinar today so that she can talk us through some of these ideas and what you need to know to make the most of the student experience and career discovery opportunities that you might be creating in your community. They've also piloted a new handbook for high school students. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Anna.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. And I'd like to go ahead and talk a little bit about junior achievement, just so you understand who we are if you're not familiar with our organization. So if we can go to the next slide, we'll take a look at what our mission is. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Awesome. So our mission, we have been around for 100 years, so it is a very exciting year for us celebrating our centennial. And we are focused on making students, giving them assistance in connecting what they learn in the classroom to real life. And we do that through our 3 pillars, which are workforce readiness, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. We are a nonprofit, and we are a worldwide organization. We're actually here locally, JA USA is our parent organization. And then each JA area is governed by a local board and, of course, works directly with local school districts. And I mention that because every JA area is going to function a little differently depending on the goals of their school district and their board of directors. But we do all have access to the same curriculum and the same programs. So if you are doing follow-up with a JA area that is not me, I did check with the JA areas throughout Florida, and everyone is doing some type of career fair programming for next year. So you should be able to get access to what I'm talking about. But if it sounds a little different when you follow up, that is why, because every area is going to run programs a little differently depending on what the school district wants and the board. So a little bit about our programs in JA Tampa Bay, and that's the next slide. Perfect. So in 5th grade, we have JA Biztown, which is a facility here at our JA complex that reaches every 5th grader throughout Hillsborough County. JA Finance Park is our 8th grade program, and we do a JA Inspire Career Center within that day. And they also come to our JA complex here. And every 8th grader in Hillsborough County goes through that facility and does a deep dive in financial literacy along with some career exploration. And then we have in-class programs that reach students kindergarten through 12th grade. And that's a very common formulation for junior achievement areas. Some do it all in class because they don't have the buildings. And then other areas have a building and a program similar to us with a Biztown and a finance park. So why are we involved with career fairs? We see a need, and we are workforce readiness. So we've been involved with the schools for many years, and we've seen a need and a desire to have career fairs. I noticed 50% of you talked about time. And one of the big things that happens is we were very involved in and are still involved in job shadow events. And job shadow events are deep dive. The student leaves school for the day and goes to work for the day. There might be 15 to 20 students there, and it is a full day out of school. And they are amazing events where kids learn a lot about one workplace, and that's great. It's in-depth. The kids walk away with an incredible experience, but we need to be able to reach more students on fewer resources, the biggest resource being time. So career exploration fairs and career fairs are a great way to reach those students and get a lot of information out all at once. They can be very big and overwhelming. So the other reason why we were asked to become involved with career fairs at schools is because we need to give some tools to students to help them get the most out of what happens in a very big, very fast-paced event. So we are curriculum providers, and we've taken a look at that, and I'll go back and talk a little bit about our experience with our other programs and how it ties into what we're doing with career fairs. Right now, I'd like to share the 2 types of career fair events that you will encounter when you reach out to your local JA office. The first is what I will call a JA Career Exploration Fair. And that is an event that is organized in partnership with a school or an outside organization where we provide curriculum and we come to the students and we work with the school to recruit volunteers, and everything happens that's not entirely organized by junior achievement. We're more of a partner and a curriculum provider. JA Inspire is a JA driven event. The one that's happening in the state of Florida that just happened this year is in JA of Central Florida. It happened for all eighth graders in Osceola County. And with the JA Inspire event, the students actually all come in eighth grade to like a convention center or a fairground, and they visit everyone at that facility. So they come by bus. It's a little less flexible than the Career Exploration Fair. And both of those, we do have curriculum that we provide, so the students are prepared before they come, and they're engaged at the events. And in addition, they are doing some reflection afterwards, so there's an action plan so they can move forward with what they learned at the events. And this is a big deal because it also allows students to have access to career readiness in a way that's accessible and affordable, which is something that is a need because a lot of what's out there for career readiness is very individual. It takes time away from school. There are a lot of middle and upper middle class families who can afford to send students to camps and do an in-depth week learning about a health profession or another specific profession, but that's not available to all students. And all students really need to be able to explore careers and have the opportunity to learn about careers. In addition, they need to learn to participate at the event. So the curriculum really helps with just learning how to talk to adults and how to narrow down and make choices so that they're seeing booths that they're interested in and getting the most out of the fair for themselves individually. So let's take a look at the next slide. So we provide curriculum that really helps make these connections. So the objectives of our career exploration curriculum, always a junior achievement program, wants to help students connect what they're learning in the classroom to the real world. We do that through volunteers. We talk to teachers and volunteers and get everybody engaged in the event. But every time we offer a program, whether it be a career exploration fair or any of our in-class programs or BizTown or Finance Park, we have to have a volunteer as a part of that because we believe in the value of having someone from the outside, from the business community, from a college, come and talk to students and share their life experience. That really helps with that real world connection. We want to relate the impact of personal interests and abilities on career choices. So part of the preparation for a career fair in our curriculum is to do self-assessment. And that actually starts, so this curriculum goes all the way down to kindergarten. We begin self-assessment as a practice in third grade so that students are beginning at a very early age to understand their part in making choices and realizing that jobs actually are about finding something you like and something you're interested in. So when they start to make choices in middle school and high school, they're happier and more engaged in their programs, and hopefully that leads them to be more successful as they go on to career or college. We want to examine how school skills apply to career paths. So we provide questions to the students so when they're at the fair, they're actually talking to volunteers and asking them about their school experience. And then they get this real life, snapshot of how the time that they're spending sitting in school actually does relate to a job someday. And maybe they'll hopefully be more excited about being in school and completing school. And with that, the final goal is to explain the importance of staying in school and graduating high school. When you get that epiphany at a career fair that you connected with someone, and that is really the goal of it, is for students to go up, have a conversation, and connect with someone and get excited about something that they want to pursue in the future. They're getting that I want this job moment, and that engages students to set goals, to stay in school, to go on to education beyond high school. And that is really the big goal, is to create that epiphany for our students. So that's what our curriculum is designed to do. For those of you who are listening who are in college, I want to share with you guys, we work with a lot of high school students, and then we bring college students in to volunteer. And we also have college students that work with us. And I have taken it upon myself to share it with our college students and talk with them And it's such a big deal in college. And I know that these tools exist at career centers, but college students are not connecting either. So when you're seeing what we're doing and how we're trying to engage, I hope that you can find ways to apply at the college level as well, because the college students are even more excited than our high school students when they see the preparation and the questions that you should ask and how you narrow down the booth, because I know a big part of their life is going to these fairs to learn about everything they need to do in college, from getting a job after college to finding out how to get involved on campus. So hopefully you will be able to do some takeaway from what I'm talking about, although our curriculum does apply to K through 12. All right, so let's look at how we help to serve those objectives and create that epiphany that students find the I want this job moment. First of all, we do pre-fair activities. So we do have workbooks, and our workbooks actually are for all ages K through 12. And there is an activity that the students need to do in the classroom before they come. And that includes self-knowledge. For the very, very young students, it's actually just identifying different jobs. But starting in third grade, they are required to go through some questions about what they're interested in, what are they good at, and also as they get into middle and high school, deep into where would they like to work, indoors or outdoors. Do they prefer different work environments, creative versus very task oriented? Their values come into play. And we also give them some helpful hints within the Career Exploration Fair curriculum on how to make a great first impression. So in this curriculum, all of that is done in one class period, going back to your issues with time, so that we can go through the curriculum very quickly and get the most out of the minimum amount of time. There is additional career readiness curriculum that's available through Junior Achievement and many other places that gets into resume writing and interview skills. You can spend a lot of time on that, but we try to encapsulate it very quickly so that students can get the highlights of that information. Then they go to the fair, and at the fair we give them questions to ask guest speakers. And then we also, as Junior Achievement, if we're partnering at a career exploration fair, we do a table at the fair as well. So where there is a resource to help students with the workbooks, and also we do activities that are customized to meet the event and student needs. So we have done team building activities, STEM-related activities, and self-assessment activities. We were asked to do a financial literacy activity for one fair, so we're going to actually work over the summer to develop something that might be feasible in that 5 to 10 minute window that you have with students as they're going to booths. So we do offer that as well as a participant at the career fair, in addition to the curriculum that we provide for the students to get the most out of the fair. After the fair, we have available a self-reflection, a personal career action plan, and access to our online career resources. So we have a lot of information available online that helps students develop resumes, do follow-up thank you letters, help connect the dots after the career fair with what they learned. So it's really important for them to sit down and write down who they enjoyed talking to, what company did they work for, and make those notes, because then they are able to go on and actually make something useful out of their experience. So that's very, very critical that we do that with the students. And what we want to do with the curriculum is give the students opportunities to practice these interactions. That includes both going to the fair, walking up to the booth, asking questions, learning how to talk to adults. Students really do need a lot of guidance in being confident in those situations. And if they're doing that in the younger ages, of course, it's going to be a huge help for them when they get to college to figure out how to make choices about who to speak to and how to discuss things with people at booths. And we want to set students up for success. So I'll talk a little bit about how that works in a minute, because we do like to talk to our volunteers and our participants as well. But I want to talk briefly about the different grade levels and how the career exploration fairs work. So if we can go to the next slide.
Anna, I actually have a quick poll for the group.
Okay. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so reflecting on what Anna's been talking about, the different elements in each stage, so pre-fair, at a fair, after a fair, we want to ask you, think about the students that you serve. So where do students need the most support? So is it using critical thinking to assess career possibilities, building soft skills to use when meeting with employers, or reflecting on what they learned? And you can check as many as you'd like on this one. Okay, I'll give everyone a few more seconds. All right. So 60% using critical thinking, 74% building the soft skills. I think Anna can talk to that quite a bit as she goes through the curriculum a little bit more. And then reflecting on what they learned. So, right, Anna just went through some really great examples of how they do it, and she's going to speak to that a little bit more. So, this was a really great question to have you start thinking, how can I adapt this to my field? So with that, I am going to pass it back to Anna on her next slide.
All right. Thank you. So just quickly to talk about how career exploration fairs will work. I know almost everyone was high school and above, but if you have counterparts who are in elementary or middle, it is really important for students to be exploring at an early age. So with the elementary school curriculum, the first reason why we really want to start this in elementary school is the enthusiasm. One of the biggest issues we have is getting students to actually, the curriculum, the idea of career fairs, the advice that's out there for career fairs is pretty readily available. So what we're trying to bring to the table is to get students to buy in and participate and practice to get the most out of these events. It's not really reinventing the wheel because I think there's a lot of advice out there on that we should be exploring careers and we should be attending these events, but how do we actually go about doing it? So when we start in elementary school, they're so enthusiastic. They're very curious about the adult world. They're very excited. Kindergarten through second grade is really about just exposing them to different jobs that are out there and having them sort of learn and write out what they think jobs are or what is the name of a job when someone does this type of task or skill. Third through fifth grade, actually, they're really going to start with a very mature self-assessment. They are going to do practice interviews. They're going to learn how to ask questions at the tables. In elementary school, the fair is much more structured, so there will be fewer tables, more panelists speaking to the students about their jobs, and then an interview section where they're going to sit down and do practice interviews. And that age, they love to get dressed up for work. They love to participate and learn about jobs, and they're not as shy about talking to adults and engaging. So it's a really great time to introduce and practice. We get into middle school, and for exploration, middle school is really a critical age. That's why you'll see the emphasis on a lot of career exploration. In eighth grade is very popular, but anytime in middle school, we also have an area here in JA Tampa Bay where we're focusing on sixth graders. They need to start exploring because they have to do much more with course selection. Activities play a big role. By eighth grade, they're starting to volunteer, and they have to choose high school programs. A lot of them are very career based. And so, in order for them to have that information, an exploration fair is a great way to get the kids engaged. Now, the key is getting middle school students to participate and not wander around with their friends during the fair. With high school, of course, we're offering career exploration fair for all of the reasons that middle school students need it. They do still need to do career exploration and then employer exploration. So they may already know that they're in a culinary program and that's what they want to do, but they need to find out all of the different jobs and all of the different educational paths within that career area. Health sciences is a huge area where kids really need to open up and learn a lot about different career options because everyone starts out and they want to be a doctor, and not everyone makes it through organic chemistry, so they need to know what their other plans might be. So really, it's very helpful for high school students to have those opportunities and exposures within different employers in the area or different employment opportunities within a particular field of study where they might be involved in a magnet program and they're working towards a goal, but there are many different jobs available. Another opportunity in high school is we help with organizations outside of school who set up fairs for students to go and interview and apply for internships. College exploration, our curriculum is applicable for college exploration fair as well, because it's really about teaching those soft skills that you say students need so that they can figure out where they want to go and what questions do they need to ask to get the information out of a very big event. And then volunteer opportunities is another fun, students come in and they need to complete their Bright Futures hours for those of you who are in Florida. And they need to learn what's available. So that is a great way to set up a volunteer fair for incoming freshmen and get them to understand, because volunteer opportunities are a huge way for kids, if they do them intentionally, to learn something that might apply to their career exploration. So there is volunteering to get hours, and then there is volunteering to have an end in mind and gain some knowledge. So that's another opportunity for schools to put together a volunteer fair, and our curriculum would apply to that as well. So next I'd like to talk about the partnership with Junior Achievement. So we've talked a little bit about how our curriculum is implemented and the objectives. So when Junior Achievement looks to partner with the school to do a career exploration fair, and we also do outside events. So this year we partnered with Construction Day, which is a multi-county event, and we provided curriculum to the students, and we provided a learning lab at the event. So we do partner with schools or with organizations who are doing career exploration fairs. We want to do a high quality total package event, and we're really looking at time as being this huge resource. So I find it interesting and obviously something that we get, that 50% of you find time to be a big deal. And we try to get as much as we can, as quickly as we can, so that students come in and they learn what they need to do. Then we have some tools in place so that they actually participate and engage, so they're getting what they need to out of the event. And then do the reflection immediately after so that they're following up. So we do that through providing the curriculum, which I've talked a lot about, giving them a workbook, giving them tools, and we are also developing a worksheet or a guidebook for students that's a little more hands-on to use at the event and push the engagement to another level. And we have an app, which is currently in our Career Center, but will be available to use on students' devices. So we'll be working on an implementation plan for high school students to be able to use an app when they're at career fairs. And that app in the Tampa Bay area will be built out to show, once the students go through the fair, different employers and different job opportunities within the Tampa Bay area, with a goal to build a better workforce for our area and keep our top students. So volunteer training and recruitment. I talked about students having success at career fairs. And that is very important in terms of them developing soft skills, that they need to be told they need to do certain things when they're at the fair. And then when they practice those things, that they leave feeling like they got something out of it and feeling like they're successful, so that they continue to practice and they continue to walk up to booths and ask questions and participate. So we partner with the school. When you have a career fair event, there are some people who will come because the school asked, and some people who will come because Junior Achievement asked. So we don't want to leave anyone out. So we want as many volunteers as possible. So we partner with the school to recruit participants. But we do have available some resources for volunteers, and are available to meet with volunteers the morning of the event to get everyone pumped up and share the questions the student might be asking so they can be prepared with answers and they can be comfortable As we're attending events, we're also looking at booths that are very successful with the kids so we can continually develop, a database to offer suggestions for different learning experiences that you can do very quickly that will be helpful to students and get students excited. So that's another resource we're going to be offering volunteers. Teacher resources, we have the curriculum available. We are also available to come because the teacher is really critical in the success of the Career Exploration Fair in terms of both enthusiasm and accountability. That's kind of what pushes students at this age to engage. Once they get going, they usually like it, but they need that little push of the teacher telling them that it's for a grade or that they need to do it for some accountable reason. And then when we do the partnership, of course, we do mission-based activities. So we do have the booth available, and we would set that up at the fair and have another way for students to engage with us and learn about career readiness at the fair. So that's how we put together a JA Career Exploration Fair partnership. And if you're not in the JA realm, I recommend you look at these different strategies because the more you get in depth with setting up students for success and encouraging them to engage, the more they're going to get out of any type of event that you organize. Okay. So increased student engagement. So I talked a little bit about JA BizTown and JA Finance Park. Those are known as our capstone programs. They are very high student engagement programs. Kids are very excited to come to our facility, participate in the simulation, and they leave feeling like they were successful when they have had their day. So when we look at the career fair model, we are looking at that model, which is a model that utilizes that teacher-led component. So they need to do some preparation in advance and have some expectations set for what's going to happen when they go to the event. Then the volunteer component is that we have some contact with the volunteer and we set out expectations for the volunteer so that they know the students will be asking questions and get them ready for the simulation experience, which in this case is the career fair. And then after the simulation happens, we do ask the teacher to come back and facilitate that reflection. And when that all happens in the ideal world, the student engagement should increase. So we're not just announcing that there's a career fair happening on campus and everyone gets out of class from 8 to 11 and please visit the booths. The people that have come here have taken time for you. You should get the most out of this. We're really very intentional and very structured with our curriculum so that we have a format that sets students up for success. When we blend the teacher-led sessions with the event, it really does create that structured exploration, which is the goal to have students be excited about the event. And it sets the students up for success. It sets them up to have that epiphany moment. And we don't have a lot of time with career exploration in schools. So we need to do something that really packs a punch because that is what's going to get the students excited, and then they have to do a lot of this work on their own. So we have the event, we make it exciting, we have some expectations set out for them, and then they have to leave and they have to do 90% or more of career exploration and getting ready to go to college and finding a job on their own. So we have to pack as much as we can in a high quality way into this kind of event. So one more slide. So just to reiterate the activities that we have, we are working on developing mission-based activities. They will be hands-on and technology-based. So we have some fun tablet-based activities that will get the students engaged, and then some hands-on activities, team-building activities where the students are building a tower or designing paper airplanes, and different types of activities to build some excitement at the event. The other thing is that we are developing the curriculum. So currently we have a workbook. We will be developing a handout for the students, especially for the younger students, where they will be doing, participating in almost like a scavenger hunt way where they have to visit a certain number of people at the event and get that signed off on and enter maybe for a grade or a prize. And eventually we'll have the app available, which will take the engagement to the next level so that they really have a tool that's even easier for them to hold in their hand so they can participate at the event. So I think that brings us to our next poll. So that's the
Yeah.
brainstorm. Oh, are you gonna? Okay,
Oh
go
no,
for it,
go
Kim.
ahead. Yep. So
I was
we
just gonna say, yeah.
we want to know, where do you see a need for improvement at these events? I'm going to launch the poll now. So is it in curriculum, student engagement, event organization? Anything you want to add to that, Anna?
Well, I was going to say this is something we are piloting, and we have seen it evolve over several years nationally. So definitely, we're collecting information, and this curriculum is going to be finalized and released nationally over the summer. So the more information we have, definitely helps us do a better job. That's what we're interested in.
Great. So we'll give everyone a few more seconds. All right. So student engagement, which you talked quite a bit about today, so Anna. So uh, it sounds like
Yes,
you're
I
on the right
did.
you're on the right track, and hopefully folks today learned some ways that they can engage students a little bit more in these events and in this process of career exploration. So with that in mind, I will close our poll. And we are going to move it on to questions. So if you have questions for Anna, continue to bring them in. We have a few now. So our first one is about kind of the different pathways in post-secondary education. So Anna, first, when you do this career exploration, do you include career and technical certificates and that kind of work? And if you do, how are you talking about that in the pathways available to students?
Okay, excellent. So the great thing about Junior Achievement, because we're nonprofit and we exist outside the schools, is when we develop our curriculum, we make sure that it is flexible. And what I really love about our career and exploration fair curriculum is that they know that every event is going to be unique. So in our area, when we talk about pathways and especially with career and technical, we are looking a lot at there are outside organizations that do career fairs for a specific group of trades, or we have magnet programs within the schools. And so they would do maybe a more intimate career fair event, and our curriculum can apply to that. And it's customizable even through printing, so we can actually take the workbook and print it specifically for that event, and even slightly change questions if we need to make it tailored to a specific trade or industry. So I hope that answers your question. But that's how we approach that, and we're very invested in getting excitement. And we also do invite, if we have an event that applies. For example, I'm doing an elementary school that's an art magnet school. So I'm inviting high school magnet programs and college programs that are specific to the arts so that students see educational pathways as well as career pathways for that specific magnet program.
Great. So on this call, we have a variety of different audience members. There's probably some school teachers, some school counselors, admin, people who work at the college level. So this next question is about how you get the partnership started. So does it require school district approval? And maybe you can speak maybe from your experience about how you've seen a district go about that.
So the career and exploration fair curriculum. How I have worked with it is in two ways. One is with the larger events that are off-site, and those the approvals are already in place and the event is set up, and then we come in with curriculum. The other events that I have worked for have been at a specific school where they are interested in doing something that is just a day for their school, so they do not require school district approval. If you're talking about like the JA Inspire event, that is definitely an event where you're working closely with the school district and getting things set up through the school. So when you involve multiple schools and transportation, that's where you're going to look at the school district and having a different conversation. If you're having a day for your students at your school, typically that goes through the administration at the school, and it's a 2 to 3 hour event at the school. So a different levels, but it
Great.
is
That is,
flexible.
yeah, that's super helpful. So you mentioned the personal career action plan. Is this a resource that's readily available to folks, or do you only get access to that if you're partnering with JA in your community?
Well, our personal career action plan is available with our curriculum. So you would have to partner with us to receive it, and it's very simple. But it just lists, the next steps and the careers that you found that interest you. And then, of course, the online resources are available. Now, I will say that if you want to look at an online resource that's readily available, www.jamyway.org is an online resource that Junior Achievement offers for everyone. So that is actually available to everyone. It doesn't specifically contain the action plan, but it is part of what we talk about in the action plan curriculum.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll be sure to include that URL in the call notes so that everyone can easily find it and go access it.
Good.
So we have one final question for you. So do you have any examples of the types of activities some employers or presenters do at the fair?
Well, that is pretty varied. So when you're talking about high school, some of the better activities that I have seen involve simulations. So one of the most exciting ones that I saw was at the JA Inspire event in Osceola County. A firm did a lot of maintenance on aircraft, and they had a simulation set up for the kids to participate in, where they were able, it was almost like a flight simulator, but they were able to de-ice planes virtually. So that's one way that students are able to participate. I've also seen 3D printing set up, and then I've seen, of course, like the police and the firemen bring in some of their equipment, and the students are able to come up and actually look at the equipment and talk to them about how it's used. They had a helicopter at the event, and they had the software that they actually use where it's heat sensing and they can see the person they're pursuing. So that was very interesting. So those are some examples that I've seen at that event. I have also seen at the STEM fair, they would have, for example, different hands-on activities where they're building things or they're getting into IT and looking at artificial intelligence, or building even with Lego models. So there are, depending on the event, and that's why we're really starting to collect different activities that we see so that we'll have a library of them. For junior achievement, we have a tablet-based activity that's a very quick self-assessment that's colorful and fun, and it's based on Holland codes, so it does get them into those career interest areas and links them on to go further with that. We also have a team building activity where they're building a tower, and those are probably our two most popular activities. We've done building paper airplanes for a STEM fair and offered them different things to, make them different, to see how far they can fly the airplanes. So we do have some different activities that we offer as well. As we get into the summer, we will probably develop activities that drive excitement into our Biztown and Finance Park areas. So I hope there are a lot of different creative things that people do at career fairs. So there are many more activities that happen as well.
No, that's great. It definitely gives some shape to what you were talking about. So that
Yeah.
is it for questions from the audience. Anna, do you have any last words of wisdom? Any tips of how to connect again with your local JA community if folks are interested?
Yes, well, you can see on the slide the www.juniораchievement.org, and that is our national website. And from there, you can find your local JA area. So if it's not within our realm here in JA of Tampa Bay, I definitely invite you to contact your local JA area for more information. The curriculum, the Career Exploration Fair, curriculum will be nationally available this summer. So if you contact them tomorrow, you may want to let them know that you heard about the pilot and that you'd like to sign up for next year. They may be, I think most of them are aware that it's happening, but it's not fully released to all the areas yet. But they should know about career fairs more generally, and a lot of them are very involved in doing that type of activity. Words of wisdom, just I'm so excited to see so many people on this call because I think this is a really important resource for students. And because of the time constraints of schools, it is something that if you invest in it and you do it really well, students can get a lot out of this in a short amount of time. And that's kind of what we need to have happen with all of the other pressures that are on schools now to educate students and have them meet standards and pass tests. They also want everyone to get students career ready. So this is a way to do that that really allows students to get something. And also, when you are recruiting community members to come to your career fairs, they get something out of it as well. And I really try to talk to my community partners about this is something that we are all in together to build a better workforce. And the more opportunities students have to learn about this, and the happier they are in the long run in their jobs and pursuing their education. It's really better for our community and for our business community if students have exposure to this. So it is a good investment of our employers' time, both from just a simple marketing perspective and to help narrow down their field of applicants so they get great students coming to them to work someday. So that's my last bit of advice. Are there any more questions?
We don't have any more questions, but thank you for that last comment. I think that's really useful to the group on here, especially when we think about how do we all work together in a cross-sector fashion. And that was just perfect thinking of it from the talent development perspective and getting a really strong workforce for the local businesses. So I want to extend a very sincere thank you to Anna for being here today. I hope everyone on the call got some really great ideas of what they could be doing in their community and how this resource already exists in many communities, so how you can engage with your local JA. And one last thing, a shameless plug. So we are 2 weeks out from the FCAN Summit in Orlando, Florida. If you have not registered yet and you're interested, please do so. You can see the website, the agenda, all of our wonderful keynote speakers at www.fcansummit.org. We would love to see you in 2 short weeks here. And with that, we will give you 8 minutes of your life back. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you in May and on the next FCAN webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.